Today I'm reacting to your pre-recorded Monday Night Raw hot takes. I hope you avoided the spoilers all week, folks. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to have your thoughts featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you follow me on X because I ask for your hot take after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every WWE Premium Live event. And make sure you're keeping a look at your calendar because Survivor Series is very quickly sneaking up on us, so make sure that you drop a follow over there. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I am incredibly confident that you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And if you're looking for my 25-minute review of Monday Night Raw, it's already up and available over on patreon.com/SantiZap with me yapping about the show, showing you footage of exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Over there, we upload the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and a whole bunch of videos that never get uploaded to YouTube, so come check it out. I'll put the link in the description for you and a link in the pinned comment as well. All right, that's enough. Let's read your stupid shit. Team Liv needs to win at War Games. The women's babyface teams have won 2 years in a row at War Games, and the heel team has both world champions. It would lower the prestige of the titles if both world champions are on the same team and lose. I 1000% agree with you. In fact, I've literally been screaming this from the mountains of my YouTube channel to anybody that will listen to me that it is an objectively bad idea. It is a lose-lose situation to have both champions on the same team, especially if they're both on the heel side at War Games. I will say it does create a tremendous amount of intrigue when it comes to the Money in the Bank briefcase and Tiffany Stratton, because it is a really rare and unique situation to be trapped in a cage with the two championships that you could cash in on and have them both be on your same team. To me, that just screams a wild once-in-a-lifetime scenario that could happen here. But absolutely, 100%, you cannot have the team that has both of your world champions lose. I understand that the baby faces have some uber mega over people that are incredibly protected, like Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill as well. But they don't have to eat the pin for the baby faces to lose, and there's plenty of reason for the baby faces to lose due to lack of communication, because this team is just a mess with people that do not like each other. So there's an easy out, and they should absolutely take that easy out and not have both world champions lose, because yes, this will without a doubt damage the prestige of the women's world titles on both Raw and SmackDown. The heels have to win here. Sheamus versus Bron Breakker at WrestleMania 41 or the first Raw on Netflix, make it happen. Sheamus deserves to win that Intercontinental Championship at some point to be the Grand Slam champion. Give him that moment. So one of the things with Sheamus matches is that every single time I walk away from a Sheamus match saying, damn it, that was really goddamn good, and I wish that we got more Sheamus matches. But not only do I wish that we got more Sheamus matches, I wish that we got more Sheamus feuds and storylines, because for the last couple of months, it does genuinely feel like Sheamus is just going out there having banger after banger after banger just for the sake of having banger after banger after banger. They really haven't given him a feud or a story of substance. And as good a chemistry as Sheamus has with pretty much everyone that he's in the ring with, there was a glimmer of something special when it comes to the chemistry that Bron Breakker and Sheamus had, because on this pre-recorded episode of Monday Night Raw, they put on a borderline PLE-worthy match for free. I do believe that the end goal, at some point, I am a believer that Sheamus will win the Intercontinental Championship, that he will be a Grand Slam champion, and I like what you're thinking with Mania 41 or Raw on Netflix, because I feel like this is a big moment for wrestling fans and something that can be very much celebrated on a big stage. And I hope Sheamus gets that big stage, because more than anything, the dude just deserves to have his big moment, the thing that he's been chasing for the back half of his career, the IC championship and the status of Grand Slam champion. He deserves to have that celebration somewhere that people will pay attention, not a pre-recorded episode of Monday Night Raw. Not a hot take, but Bo looking exactly like Bray Wyatt got me in the feels. Dude, I had to like squint my eyes, turn my head, because I genuinely thought that that was a young Bray Wyatt. He looked so much like him. His mannerisms were borderline identical. His voice was just a direct carbon copy of Bray Wyatt. It's kind of spooky. Obviously, they're brothers, so the similarities are going to be there, but it's just like he's morphing into his brother, and not just in like the physical looks, but in terms of his character psychology and the way that he handles himself. Bo Dallas is taking so many leaps and bounds forward with his character work. It is incredibly refreshing. I'm almost of the mind that I'd like to see him wrestle looking like that rather than in his goofy Uncle Howdy mask with the long white dreads. I feel like this is just the look that we should have out there. The real Bo Dallas, the guy that people want to see. And yeah, like if it hit you right in the feels, I don't blame you, because it just looked like we were looking into an alternate reality where Bray Wyatt was still alive. It really was mind-bending to see how much he's transformed himself into looking like his brother. Although the Women's War Games was rushed and thrown together last minute, this Women's War Games looks incredible. The talent in this is crazy. I can't wait for this match. Listen, I don't disagree with you. We can talk about how nonsensical the teams are, the fact that there's really no story tying these two teams going up against each other, but you're just fundamentally telling a truth here. I am excited for the match because of the talent. The talent is capable enough of stealing the show. And it wouldn't be the first time this year that the women steal the show on the gimmick PLEs. They stole the show with their Elimination Chamber match. They stole the show with their Money in the Bank match. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do it yet again. By the way, they also did it with the Royal Rumble. So it's just become the norm in 2024 for the ladies to steal the show in these gimmick matches. I don't think that I would, you would, or anyone would complain about the type of talent and quality of match that we're about to get. I think we all know that it's going to be fucking fantastic, but wrestling is more than just what happens in the ring. And they really are missing the mark as to why these teams should even be in War Games in the first place. WWE should add this match to the Survivor Series card. Sheamus versus Bron Breakker versus Ludwig Kaiser. I wouldn't hate this. I would be down for this. And I like this idea because it keeps a lot of things up in the air, because it still gives us the ability to re-explore Sheamus versus Bron Breakker. Down the line, explore just Bron Breakker versus Ludwig Kaiser. Re-explore the great set of matches that was already had between Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. It just gives us a lot of running options after the smoke settles from this type of match. So I'm down for this. I would love to see this. I think it's only fair that in the last PLE, the United States Championship got some love. They got a triple threat match. Let's give that love to the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series, also in a triple threat match. Why not? Can the War Raiders just win the World Tag Titles already? I'm ready for those belts to actually be featured on TV again. I am also waving this flag. I'm so done with Finn Balor and JD McDonough as champions. Bro, I feel like they forget that they're champions. They don't even carry the championship belts with them anymore. They just, I don't know, they're propped somewhere in the background of the Judgment Day clubhouse, it seems. Bro, I feel like we've seen the Judgment Day PlayStation 5 more in the last couple of weeks than we've seen the damn pepperoni pizza looking tag team belts. I think it's time for all of us to admit that this experiment of giving the tag titles to the Judgment Day did not work. I enjoyed their first go around as champions when it was Finn Balor and Damian Priest holding the double belts, but this has absolutely not worked. It has been a major failure. All it did was slightly elevate and accelerate the Liv Morgan storyline alongside Rhea Ripley, but beyond that, it's been a completely useless decision. It has done nothing to elevate Finn Balor and JD McDonough. It's done nothing to elevate the Judgment Day, and more than anything, it's done nothing to elevate the struggling tag team division. So yes, I'm on board. Take those damn things away from them, put them on the War Raiders, and let's just start from ground zero with these guys. Bron versus Sheamus was not just the match of the night, but one of the best TV matches of the year. Also, Ludwig standing tall at the end didn't just protect both Bron and Sheamus, but set things up for a triple threat banger for the IC title as well. I won't go too deep into this because I feel like we've already kind of talked at length about this, but I'm just showcasing this because this is what I got a lot tonight. A lot of people sending in their sentiments about how excited they are about the prospect of a triple threat, how excited they were about how good Sheamus versus Bron Breakker was. So, I mean, to me, this is just a good thing for everybody and everybody that's a fan of the mid-card of Monday Night Raw, because with the removal of Jey Uso, this really is a hard reset for the Intercontinental Championship division, and it is a bloody brilliant reset. That's what happens when you use real glass. Oh my God! What? Yo, with a tombstone? Oh my God.
No, that's even worse.
That, folks, was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, available exclusively over on patreon.com/Santizap. This week, we're going to be looking at the wild supermarket brawl between Booker T and Stone Cold Steve Austin. We have a match for the TNA World title between AJ Styles and Bully Ray. We're looking at the carnage that was King of the Ring 2001 between Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle. We're once again going to Japan, watching Io Sky take on Utami in Marigold in 2024. And we're wrapping up the week with the instant classic that was Walter versus Ilya Dragunov for the NXT UK title. You're going to be getting these watch-alongs alongside the Undertaker Streak watch-along, the Royal Rumble watch-along, the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days earlier than everywhere else. We've also just launched a Patreon exclusive Discord page where this week we're going to be watching Ready to Rumble together as a community. So if you want to get access to all of this, which is all content that can never appear on YouTube, go over to patreon.com/Santizap. Head on over there, give it 1 month. I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with it, because not only do you get so much more content that never appears on YouTube, but it's a really tight community over there as well of wrestling fans. I'll put the link in the description for you, as well as the link in the pinned comment. Just come on by. That's it, folks. If you're a patron, thank you for your support. Let's get back to the video. These vignettes from Lyra and Dakota Kai made me think that the Women's Intercontinental title is coming to Raw soon. Two names that are constantly mentioned with Raw Women's mid-card titles are them too. So now that we know that the Women's US Championship is being crowned at Saturday night's main event in December, what if we crowned the Women's Intercontinental Champion at the first episode of Raw on Netflix? It's very clear that the WWE wants to have that first episode be an absolutely memorable banger, and I feel like that would just add to the memorability factor? Memorability factor? Is that the term I'm looking for? Sure, we'll go with it. It'll make the first episode of Raw on Netflix more memorable, is what I'm trying to say. I'm personally more sold on Lyra Valkyria as an inaugural Intercontinental Champion, at least more so than Dakota Kai. I just feel like for me to really be sold on Dakota Kai going after this thing, she needs to be off on her own, and Damage Control just shouldn't be a thing anymore. Thank you, Chad Gable, for letting a young up-and-coming talent like Rey Mysterio win. Ah, yes, good old Ray Hogan. That's just not gonna work for me, Chad. But in all seriousness, obviously, it's fine that Rey Mysterio wins matches. He's a legend. Like, he's already a WWE Hall of Famer. Like, it's not unrealistic that a guy with this pedigree wins matches. But what the hell are they doing with Chad Gable? This dude is being turned into Finn Balor at this point. It just doesn't seem like there's any direction for Chad Gable. It doesn't seem like he was elevated or changed by the feud with the Wyatt Six. It just sort of feels like he's running in the same spot over and over and over again. And it's a shame, because this start-stop booking of Chad Gable seems to just be the story of his career. Whenever he gets momentum, we think he's going to do something big. We think he's going to win a title, and stop momentum. He disappears and becomes Finn Balor for a couple of months, and then they reignite the fire of Chad Gable, push him again, only to once again not do anything with him. And I feel like we're in that lull period where we went from being super hype with Chad Gable to being bleh and doing nothing with him. So maybe in a couple of months, we'll be back up to being excited for Chad Gable, only to be let down yet again. Gunther and Ludwig having a conversation about Damien while standing 20 feet away from him and clearly in earshot is hilarious. Dude, I'm so glad you noticed this. I pointed this out during my Patreon review, patreon.com/Santizap. That is ironically hilarious. Like, think about it. Hey, Ludwig, I'm going to take out Damian Priest. Don't you worry about Damian Priest. You think Damian Priest has gotten in my head? No, I'm going to find Damian Priest, and I'm going to show him that he's not in my head. Turns to the right. Oh, there's Damian Priest. Walk, walk, walk. And he's there within 3 steps. It was comedy. I love you, Solo says. I love you, Solo. Dude, this guy is harassing me on social media, asking me every time that I post whether or not I love Solo. So I'm going to put a challenge out there. Every single time that I tweet, I need you to ask me if I love Solo. If you do this for every single tweet until the end of the year, I'll give you an answer on January 1st. What exactly is the direction for this heel Chad Gable and the Creeds? They just keep losing. I know. And yeah, you're right. The problem isn't just Chad Gable. What in the blue hell are they doing with the Creeds? What was that segment after Chad Gable lost too, where he lost and then he got mad at them and then forced them to kind of have this little bro powwow and then he was proud of them? Yeah, that's what I want to see. What the fuck was that? If this push Candice LeRae is getting is only for the sake of a good War Games match and not a good storyline as well, it'll be really disappointing. I like what they're doing with her and Nia and Tiffy. Also, if y'all haven't seen the 2019 Women's NXT War Games match, you need to. I'm also co-signing that last statement. You absolutely need to watch that match. I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'm sorry to tell you, I think that they're just adding her for the sake of having a good War Games match. I also hope that it develops into an interesting storyline on SmackDown, but on SmackDown, she just keeps losing to people, getting pinned left, right, and center. So it doesn't seem like they're doing much in terms of building her for something beyond War Games. But here's the thing. This isn't just a Candice LeRae problem. I think that everyone is just sort of being put in this match for the sake of a good War Games match. Because genuinely, and I want to ask you, but I got a question for all of you. Can anyone genuinely tell me the story as to why the women are going into War Games? Because I can absolutely tell you the story for the men. It makes sense. It's logical that they would go to War Games. It's a totally reasonable match stipulation to put these groups of men in. But for the women, why? It doesn't make sense. Like there's no narrative thread tying this together as to why they have to go to War Games. So because of that, not only does it feel like Candice LeRae is being added to this just for the sake of having a good War Games match, I can say that about all of the women in this match. It feels like they're just putting these women together for the sake of meeting a quota of having a women's War Games match at Survivor Series War Games, which is unfair. The writers absolutely sold. They did not do the women justice. It just doesn't feel right to just have the women go into War Games for the sake of having a War Games match. They should have had a good narrative going into this. Despite this win not being totally clean, the fact that Bronson Reed beat Seth Rollins is a testament to the faith that they have in him. They don't just hand out those moments. It's clear that there will be big things in his future after this feud. His credibility is still intact. I appreciate your optimism, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I feel like the match against Seth Rollins kind of hurt Bronson Reed's stock. Because, dude, he lost. He had that match lost to Seth Rollins. He was about to lose entirely clean for a second time to Seth Rollins yet again. So that in itself is not a good look for Bronson Reed. And somebody like Bronson Reed, who's made a name of himself being an absolute monster that doesn't need anybody's help, all of the sudden needing somebody's help does kind of juxtapose against what they've been building for Bronson Reed. Now, I agree with you. I still think that his credibility is still mostly intact. I do definitely agree with you that they have big things planned for him even after the Seth Rollins feud, but I still don't think that this is the best way to handle Bronson Reed so far. Even though he won this match, he's been clowned by Seth Rollins twice in a row as far as I can tell. I'm really interested to see how they get Seth to agree to team with Roman. I hope it's not just Solo cost me a match, I'm in. Sammy's point about last year War Games was really good, but the Seth/Roman relationship is quite different from the Cody/Seth. Any thoughts on how he joins? So any thoughts on how he joins? It's probably that. It probably will be, hey, he looked at me funny, which caused me to get distracted, which caused me to lose against my mortal enemy, Bronson Reed. Yeah, now I'm going to put everything aside to team up with my mortal enemy of the past 10 years in Roman Reigns. I hope to God that's not the case, but it probably will be the reason and the justification for Seth Rollins to join Roman Reigns' team. I hope that there's more exposition, there's more conversation that happens that leads to this moment, but this is definitely going to be the catalyst that leads to Seth Rollins joining up with Sami Zayn and company. I feel like WWE is doing a women's War Games just for the sake of doing a women's War Games, but the match will be amazing either way. I'm glad that I'm not alone in this thought. I just went on a tirade talking about that it does feel like a women's War Games match for the sake of a women's War Games match, but you're right. It's going to be amazing. It's really not the end of the world. We're just being nitpicky wrestling fans, but hey, That's what this is all about. This is what Hot Takes is. Talking and just airing out our thoughts and grievances about the show. But at the end of the day, like, it's just not that big of a deal. It's going to be a great match. It's probably going to be the best match of the night, if I'm being honest with you. The end of the Punk and McIntyre feud has really left such a big hole on Monday Night Raw that the show just hasn't been as interesting since then. You're right, but we were also just ridiculously spoiled when that feud was happening because we basically had two major main event quality feuds happening at the same time in the same buildup happening between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, while also getting Gunther and Damian Priest at the same time. It's not typically normal to have that many giant feuds on the same show happening simultaneously with one another. So when you lose one of those giant feuds, it just does feel like there's something missing. But it's really not that anything's missing. This is how Raw has always been. One major feud and then a bunch of auxiliary feuds around. But yeah, we had two major feuds during the summer, which, like I said, spoiled us. All of this will be worth it if Seth ends up being the one to make Roman finally humble himself and apologize. Okay, you're right. I can get behind this. I like this because my biggest hang up right now is the fact that Roman Reigns won't apologize. So if this is how we get Roman Reigns apologizing, fine. I'm fine with it. As somebody that stayed spoiler free for this episode, all I could do was sigh when Rhea's music hit. I know it's been said so many times, but for the sake of her and Liv, this story just needs to end. So I'm still on board with the Liv and Rhea story. I want to see it play out, and I'm sure it will continue to play out over the next several months. And I'm sure that as it continues to play out, we'll continue to hear people yelling from the back that the storyline needs to end. But this is one of the most important stories on Monday Night Raw. Like, I just don't think that we need to fizzle it out and end it because a group of people are tired with it. But I actually kind of get you when you said that you sighed when you heard Rhea's music. I'm excited to have Rhea Ripley back, but I was also kind of disappointed that it was Rhea Ripley because why did they write her out in the first place? More than anything, why did you write out Rhea Ripley, make us believe that she was going to be gone for months, only to have her come back 2 weeks later in a pre-recorded show? So you write out Rhea Ripley only for her to make this medical marvel miracle of a return, but then you have this return happen on what almost feels like a throwaway episode of Monday Night Raw. It was weird. I actually thought that they were going to go with Bayley, but Rhea Ripley actually makes more sense and is far more logical than Bayley because Bayley wouldn't have made any fucking sense. When is his title shot? Soon, my children. Soon. Just stay strong. Diamond hands. Dominic Mysterio will get his moment in the light. And when he does, you and I will all be blessed. All right, folks, thanks so much for submitting in your hot takes. That's it. I'm done. Get out of here.